I started my career in my early life as a child actor. I was on Broadway when I was 7 years old in a show written by Noel Coward. And I thought that was where I was going to be going. It was either, I told my parents, I'm either going to be a world famous actor or a veterinarian. Then when we got to high school, my biology grades were so bad, my teacher said, no, you better stick with the other thing. But that too changed because at one point I realized that when I got to be a teenager, I was not the little adorable 7-year-old that used to get jobs on television and commercials. So I got more interested in music when that led me to, like a lot of people, when the Beatles came out, picking up a guitar and learning how to play from my big brother. It led me into more discovery about music, and later on became a musician in bands in New York. And eventually that led me to songwriting. And the songwriting is something that I explored. And the quick story, I'll try to make it as quick as possible, is that I was writing songs and I was on the road with a group called the New Christy Minstrels. And I wrote this song called Captain Kirk's Disco Trek. And I thought, well, this is fun. It's a novelty song, little knowing that novelty songs are a little hard to get placed on the radio these days. So I took it around and somebody said, well, why don't you take it to a children's record label, which I did, which led to a writing assignment for that label. And I took that to Sesame Street and said, here's something I've done. And I was pretty new at it, but I felt good about it. And they said, well, sure, stick around. And if you want to answer a few phones here, and we got this project in the wings called Sesame Street Country, and see if you can get some celebrity artists to appear on it. So I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And so without any pay, I went in every day to New York City and I put on a tie and I got on the phone and I tried to call every country artist you can imagine. We ended up getting Crystal Gale and Glenn Campbell and Tanya Tucker and Loretta Lynn, queen of country music.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man who was the head of the record label at Sesame Street said, well, do you want to produce it? And I said, yeah, sure. At that point, I had only produced my own little demos in my bedroom with a 4-track recorder, but my mother always said, never say no. So I said yes, and that ultimately led to a Grammy Award for my first time out. So there you go.
Wow. Home run at your first at bat. That's just fantastic. And so many artists have worked with you and recorded your music. I mean, who else is going to have Ray Charles cut one of yours and Elmo cut one of yours?
There's a dichotomy if there ever was one.
The range is absolutely fantastic.
I've done 2 Mr. Rogers projects at this point. You know, if you love Mr. Rogers and you love his music, you'll really appreciate the way his music has reimagined in this album called Thank You, Mr. Rogers, Music and Memories. And it's got artists, we mentioned Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees, but it's also got Vanessa Williams singing one of Mr. Rogers' most beautiful and touching songs. And it's got Rita Wilson, who was married to Tom Hanks, who did the movie about Mr. Rogers. And oh my gosh, the Cowsills, if you remember them from
Oh, of course.
I Love the Flower Girl. And even Tom Bergeron, if you remember from Dancing with the Stars. Well, Tom happens to be a good little singer and he loves to whistle, and he whistles on the album. It makes it really special. Kelly Pickler's on the album. She does a great version of Fred's closing theme, and John Cicada, who's had hits. John Cicada sings Won't You Be My Neighbor in Spanish.
Oh, my goodness.
It's like a different song. It's gorgeous. My wife says it's even sexy. So yeah, in a good kind of way. So anyway, if you go to our website, thankyouMrRogers.com, you can hear little samples of it and try it on for size and see if you're not enchanted, I hope, by the way his music is so adaptable.